Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm an engineer. Our patient is an AK741. This is 2006 Subaru Forester. How do I know that? It's because I'm an engineer. Also, it says it here. What's the problem with it? Well, it is throwing codes P0028 and P0083. That's intake valve control solenoid circuit range bank 2. And the other one is intake valve also on bank 2. How do I know that? Because I'm an engineer. Now, since I couldn't really figure out why this particular code and only on bank 2 would be thrown, based on the pinout and visual inspection and measurements. So what I decided to do is just replace the whole unit, because my suspicion goes to something else. And typically, actually, on when these codes are thrown, it's very often a problem, especially on 2006. It's a problem of converter. It's either a converter is clogged or obviously efficiency. You would expect the code, sure, but sometimes you have a rupture in the exhaust. You would expect that the only code you would get would be the bank efficiency, but not necessarily. You can also, so if the pressure on the output of the engine, right, in the exhaust, is lower than expected because of the rupture, especially if it's on the engine block itself, the air comes in where it should not be coming in from, right? And that causes all kinds of issues, and some of those are manifesting as camshaft position or intake valve. This is not a code where we have an open circuit or short or anything like that. This is the code that is a result of calculations performed by the ECM. So this is most likely an issue that is intermittent. And just so happens that on these we have an IC608. So I figured, since I'm an engineer, I'm gonna clone this ECM to the replacement, and I'm gonna send back two ECMs. Send the customer two ECMs back. But first, if you could check the original, if the problem went away. If it did, then you're gonna have a spare. If it didn't, then, well, we'll see. Because if it didn't, then there is a chance that the replacement is also throwing the same code, which means this is not ECM related. And this would be my hunch, because I'm an engineer. Okay, did I mention that I'm an engineer? Now, if you clicked on this video because of the thumbnail, then you obviously know what I'm talking, or who I'm talking about. But for my regular viewers, of course, I'm talking about Mudahar, some ordinary gamer. Who is Mudahar? Well, he's an engineer. Need I say more? You know, as engineers, we have to stick together. We have to support one another, especially as fake engineers. Because, yeah, do I have an engineering degree? No. Actually, the only reason I'm an engineer, and I've had, and my official title is senior software engineer, and it has been for the past like 6 years or so, is because I'm located in the United States. However, I come from Poland, and the majority of my career I spent in Poland. And in Poland, I'm not a senior software engineer, I'm a senior software developer. That was my title in Poland. But when I migrated to United States, my title has been changed to senior software engineer, because that's what we're called over here. because Americans don't care. In Poland, this to call yourself an engineer, you actually have to have an engineering degree. Not in the US though. For that reason, I'm an engineer. Murahar is, on the other hand, located in Canada. And Canada, same way as in Poland, do not allow you to use the engineering title if you don't have proper credentials. Which makes sense, right? I honestly, when I first got to US and I got a job title of software engineer, I did feel a little bit like I'm cheating, right? Like, no, I'm not an engineer. I'm just a developer. I just develop software. Of course, I always appreciated that, and it's still very flattering to me that I can call myself an engineer without actually having an engineering degree, sure. But it kind of felt like cheating a little bit, you know? Now it's been so long now that, you know, I don't, yeah, I just call myself a software engineer because that's my job title. That's what I do. But just to give you a context, that it doesn't work that way everywhere in the world, right? Some countries are pretty serious about who they call engineers. Now you might ask, what is the problem? Why is the entire internet suddenly turning against Muda because he's been calling himself an engineer for the past decade? And I don't know, don't you know that everything on the internet is fake? Isn't that the known truth of the world, that everything on the internet is fake always? Shouldn't we be kind of immune to that already? At least not be shocked, right? I'm not saying it's fine if you call yourself an engineer and you're developing full self-driving for Tesla and you supervise the team every week in detail. All right, I'm an engineer. That's what I do, engineering. Right? that was Musk. Well, the problem with this is that it's a form of manipulation. You know, if for 10 years you introduce yourself as an engineer and it turns out you're not, then yeah, you kind of manipulated your audience. And that was always known about Muda, that he kind of manipulates his audience because of the, you know, some channels do that. I never approve that, and I don't even ask people to subscribe because you know how to subscribe, right? And it's especially fake, maybe with one exception, of political channels when they say, you know, subscribe, let's get to 5 million, let's get to 2 million subscribers. And because yeah, you subscribing to political channel, you're just kind of supporting the idea, you're supporting the view, right? You're showing your support to the political movement or something like that, right? So yeah, that kind of makes sense. It's kind of like sign my petition, right? Let's get the bill passed, right? So yeah, you're kind of invested in that. You're signing a petition, so you're part of the solution. But any channels that are not political channels and they say they subscribe, let's get to 100,000 subscribers. But what's in it for me if I subscribe, right? It's not us that we're getting subscribers to 100,000 subscribers. It's you that is getting those subscribers, not me. So it's not a win for me. I'm not invested in any way. I subscribe because I find your content, I don't know, valuable in some way or entertaining or what have you. Especially if you're like me, I watch some channels for weeks, sometimes even months before I subscribe. And some channels also say with a shock in their voice that 80% of my viewers are not subscribed, right? This is normal. That's how it works. For some reason, some people Especially, and I've seen it in a lot of channels that they say, "Hey, I'm so close to say 100,000 subs," and I believe with 100K, YouTube sends you that first plaque, right, that you can put in the background. A lot of people do that. So naturally, they want to reach that goal, especially if you're close to that goal. Then yeah, obviously you wanna reach it. Um, but they just say that, hey, if everybody who watches my channel and isn't subscribed suddenly subscribed, then we would have been, we would have had 500,000 subscribers or something like that. Well, again, it doesn't work that way. Yes, it's natural that on YouTube you get majority of your views you get from unsubscribed people, and again, if you are like me, then you're gonna watch some channel for a long time before you decide to subscribe, right? At least that's what I do, right? So yeah, I know where the subscribe button is. Thank you very much. Thank you for reminding me. But I don't do that because I don't like when people do that. For the same reason, I'm not gonna tell my viewers, people I don't know. Well, some of you I do know personally. Some of you I do know through Discord. So, you know, sure. But the majority of the viewers, I don't know, right? So I'm not gonna tell you I love you. That's creeps me out actually. If when people do that, you know, it's it's creepy. Like that's not an appropriate word. I appreciate your views, right? I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your commenting. I appreciate you as my viewer. You're also part of the community, sure. But no, I love my son. I love my wife. I love my mama, but not people I've never met. Know what I mean? Anyways, what is the problem with calling yourself an engineer if you're not an engineer? To me, that's funny because it's a sign of deep insecurity, and it wouldn't have been because all right now, what is Muda doing? All he had to do, in my view, he just had to address the situation and just explain it maybe the way I'm explaining it about me being an engineer. That certain words in certain countries mean certain things, and just say, yeah, I don't hold a degree, but I've been doing engineering a lot and something like that, and perhaps throw in a sorry, but no love yous. Just throw in a sorry somewhere there, that I didn't mean to mislead you or anything like that, and this would have been over because Muda has like a pretty significant core fan base, and not a fan base of engineers, right? Because let's be honest, there's very little value engineering wise in his videos. When I do watch his videos, it's mainly for entertainment value, not for actual value. Even when he's spewing some stuff about Linux and security and stuff like that, right? I don't go to that channel for that kind of content, right? I go to his channel for entertainment, and over the years, because I've been watching him for quite a few years now, so it's kind of like a habit. But he drops a lot of videos, right? He produces a lot of content. I don't have time to watch every single video of his, but someone managed to just kind of scrape all his transcripts from all his videos and aggregate it to be easily searchable. And using that, I'm pretty sure what you can do is just throw that entire transcript right into a single file and just ask Copilot, ChatGPT basically, to just go through it and look for contradictions. I'm pretty sure that's what happened there, because the sheer number of the contradictions found in his very early videos and his latest videos is just staggering. So I don't think anyone actually went through that manually. But if someone did, if someone would, then they would definitely find a lot more. Because I personally found one contradiction listening to his last like 2 or 3 videos. He was talking about pirate software's code, obviously not really bringing anything new that hasn't already been discussed. Um, he didn't bring any actual, original thoughts of his own as an engineer. He was talking about doing C++ in his second semester, but in the previous videos he said he dropped out after 1 semester, and in the even older video he said he dropped out in the first semester, right? So, a minor thing, but now when you're kind of suspecting that he's full of it, it's kind of easy to spot those. Because his audience is, again, they're not engineers, they're not technicians, or maybe technicians, or no, they're gamers. His channel is called Some Ordinary Gamer. That's what he does. That's what he likes. That's what drives him, right? Not engineering. And the same problem was with what's his face, Jason Hall, or Pirate Software, right? A fake software developer. Because again, if someone is a software engineer, they primarily do that, right? If someone is an engineer, they do engineering, not play games all day. And that's primarily what he does, right? He plays games. He plays plenty of games. When do you find time to actually do any engineering? That's how you know when people are fake. The pirate software, yeah, again, you would expect that his streams are filled with content like, what's his name? Oh my god, I completely forgot. Name escapes me right now. The author, the original author or initiator of the project Serenity OS, right? It's kind of like it's a different system. It's kind of Linux based or Unix based, but it's not a clone per se. It's or maybe clone is a right word. But it's not like it's a system that sits on top of Linux kernel or something like that. No, it's the whole kernel has been written from scratch, right? And yeah, it's buggy, it's laggy, and all kinds of stuff. But it's an amazing thing that someone decided to write an operating system from scratch, and at this point that system actually works, right? You can actually run it on your computer. I'm not sure if it runs on hardware already, because they were pretty close last time I checked. Last time because I joined the community, I don't know, a couple years ago maybe, and I've been active for maybe like a few weeks, right? And then I dropped off. But so even then they were very close, and I've even seen the screenshots of some people that actually are running Serenity on the hardware, actually without the emulation, right? The QEMU. But if you go to his streams or his videos, it's like an hour-long video, and there's some goal, right, that he wants to achieve something during that hour, or at least push it a little further, right? And it's either work on the kernel or the browser, right? Because they had to write the browser from scratch as well. So everything is written from scratch. Also, I've definitely enjoyed his videos when he's porting software to his system, right? That was kind of interesting to me. Uh, how how do you port an application from one system to another system? Obviously, you need to have a lot of knowledge of how the system works and where the compatibility issues might arise. But that's what he does, right? Jason, on the other hand, you go to his streams and he's just playing games. 8 hours, 10 hours a day. Like crazy. Do I play games? Sure. I spend maybe an hour a week playing games. And usually my gaming sessions are around 10-15 minutes. Right? I just have you know, I just want to just kind of reset, right? So I turn on a shooting game or a strategy game or something. I play for 15-20 minutes, and usually when I do, it's until the first time I die, right? And I stop, and then I go back to work, right? And I either do software or I do hardware or repairs. Lately, shop's been pretty busy, so I definitely didn't have time to do any kind of gaming. So it doesn't matter how many times you call yourself an engineer. If you're an engineer, we can all see that, right? So you're only calling yourself an engineer because you know your audience is not technologically savvy and they don't care. They just love you because you love them and they're your family. That's why you can get away with it. But he flew too close to the sun. And thing that bothers me the most, right? Because I really don't care. Yeah, I knew from the beginning he's not an engineer. But what I found really impressive was when he keeps saying that YouTube is not his job, but rather a side hustle. Yet he posts every day. And even one time he did say it in the smuggy way that, hey, I post every day and YouTube's not even my job, right? That was too condescending phrase directed to Boogie. Deservingly so, but that I found really impressive because I juggle, I do full-time job, right? I'm a senior software engineer. I don't know if I mentioned that already, maybe not. So let me reiterate, I'm a senior software engineer. And I work 9 to 5, and actually I have to drive to the office, so it's not 9 to 5, it's actually 6 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Then after work, often I have to do some work in the shop. After work, sometimes I record videos, sometimes I'm just way too tired. It kind of depends on the day, it depends on the particular sprint, right? Sometimes you have like a lot of intense tasks that you need to do, like figure out some problem, and it takes a lot of brain power, right? So after work, I'm completely spent. I have no motivation or strength to do any repairs or let alone record videos. Some days are where you're just kind of waiting for reviews. You're reviewing code. The sprint is almost done, and you got everything done. So you're just kind of maybe getting a head start on the next task from the next sprint, that kind of stuff. So it's a light day, right? After which I can come back from work and record a video and do some repairs and stuff like that. So I always found that impressive that you have a channel on which you post very low cost videos because it's just webcam and the guy sitting in front of the computer. And don't get me wrong, he's an amazing public speaker, right? He can actually relay a subject really well, really concise. The skill that I don't have, right? So no matter how much money I'll put in the camera equipment or lighting equipment or what have you, I'll never reach that level, right? Because I just don't have those public speaking skills. So the investment into time-wise and money-wise into those videos is really low. It's not like he's doing what Mr. Beast is doing, right? Investing millions into recording one video, or spending weeks or months working on one video and dropping like one video a month or something like that. No, you turn on the camera and you talk to the camera very eloquently and in the easy to listen way, and you get 200, 300, 600,000 views. That's some significant money if you get a video like that every day. 7 days a week. That's crazy. That's crazy amount of money. And on top of that, you have a 9 to 5. You have a family, right? As far as I know, he doesn't have any kids, but he's married, so he's got to spend some time with his wife, and probably like take care of the apartment, maybe mow the lawn from time to time, right? Stuff like that, basically housekeeping items, right? So that has always been extremely impressive to me, that someone can actually achieve something like that. Um, I don't think I could do that. Although you might say that, yeah, for a little while I had a single video every day, right? I would post every day, but that was only because number one, there were a lot of repairs, right? And I would do like 3 or 4 repairs on the weekends. On the weekends, meaning 3 or 4 on Sunday, 3 or 4 on Saturday, maybe one on Friday or two on Friday, and I would stack them up, right? I would queue them, because before I would just post as soon as the video was ready. I would just post it, right? So sometimes I would post 3 videos a day or 4 videos a day, right? Then I figured let's schedule them, right? So I had a single video a day, or perceivably, or it would be perceived as I record every day or I make a video every day, but that's not true. I just made plenty of videos and I scheduled them, right? I don't typically report news or anything like that, so it doesn't really matter if my video goes live today or tomorrow or next week, right? I would just tell the customer that, hey, your video is going out on Wednesday at 8 a.m., so keep an eye on it. Or maybe even send a link already, but the link is gonna work on Sunday after 8, or Monday after 8, whatever. But even that, even doing that, as you can see, I had a pretty big gap now in the previous week, and those gaps are always, the even trying to do that, even it jumped into position, did it? Um, Even though utilizing the ability to schedule the videos, right? I still can't do a video every day, because then I'm only a human, and sometimes, as I said, at work, you get a little more work and you just gonna, it's hard. And not to mention that, especially if all I had to do was just sit in front of the camera and talk about the subject that I feel passionate about, that would be doable, sure. But I actually have to do some work. And there's a big difference between doing the work and recording you doing the work. That's a lot of added work, right? Not to mention, then you have to actually produce that video, then you have to actually upload that video, especially the ones with time lapse. They take hours to encode. I already have the new computer behind me that I'm supposed to use for video editing, but I didn't have time to actually even install the software on it. And I have license for only one computer, so to do that I have to make a full switch, right? It's already set up, and I got, the network drives mapped and everything. The computer is like fully ready to start doing that work. But I have no time to actually make that final switch, so I just still use this one. Plus, it's redundancy. I like to have redundancy in everything. So if this computer dies on me, it's not a huge deal, right? So, anyways, it takes a lot of time to get all that to actually produce those videos. All right, so in many cases, what I do is I just do the repairs and I just don't record them, right? Because that's I don't make money of YouTube. Yeah, YouTube's not my job because YouTube is not making me money. Okay, so yeah, I need a full-time job, an engineering job, because I'm an engineer. Did I mention that? So with that condescending tone, he talks to other people saying you should upload every day, and because I upload every day and YouTube's not even my job. I crazy. I'm kind of flattered that that people are calling him out on it because being an engineer is a prestige, right? I never really, I mean, I did think, I always thought that being an engineer is a prestige. It was always a prestige to me, but I never thought it was a prestigious enough to other people to the point where they would just lie about it. All right, so that really puts a different, shines a different light on me as an engineer. Now I feel elevated. You know what I mean? It now suddenly I have a prestige of being an engineer, not just hardworking immigrant that happens to be an engineer. No, I'm a prestigious engineer now. So yeah, I love it. I love myself some good drama. And recently it's crazy, and this space is not necessarily known for drama, right? There there's always been some drama here and there, especially with video games and stuff like that. But in the engineering itself, or even game development, there's it's usually just drama-less, drama-free content, right? And recently, we have a lot of drama, mainly because of Jason, and now Muda. Oh my God, I better collect all my paperwork, right, proving that I'm an engineer, because I might be next. But here's the difference. So I actually have receipts, right? You can find me coding on another channel. If you're watching this, you're most likely using some of my software, be it the multimeter that you see over here. That's written by me and developed, and it's free. The link should be in the description. I don't know. Perhaps if you do rework, like BGA rework, you likely use my software Rework Pro, which I objectively say that it's the best software out there to do rework on IR6500 or any PC410 controller, right? These are not super professional. They're actually hobbyist machines, but Rework Pro changes them from being a hobby device to being an actual professional tool. And I've had quite a few opinions like that. Most recent customer from Poland, he works on ECMs as well, right? And he uses IR6500 or equivalent for the MCU work, right? Which is not needed. I actually do it with the header alone, but to each their own. And it probably also depends on the actual ECM make. And he always had issues with boards flexing and basically unreliable machine. And he blamed the machine. He got Rework Pro, and with preheating options and the ability to adjust profiles and stuff. Now all the problems disappeared. The boards are no longer flexing. It's the same hardware, right? Same machine, same device, and all the problems went away. So that is an excellent feedback. That's what I like to hear when something I created is actually useful to someone, to the point where it resolves issues that they had, right? You can also see I do have a ticketing system that I designed and developed, but it has been in development for a while now, and I haven't really been doing any work on it. Um, but you can see the development process on my other channel where I do coding. You can also see, games. You can also see my GitHub, right? Go to my GitHub, see my entire history. You can find a lot of bad code over there. I'm not gonna say I'm the best engineer, software engineer to ever have existed, but you see that I know what I'm talking about, right? You can also track my LinkedIn and see where I worked, and that my job titles, my last three job titles over the 6 years were senior software engineer, and going further, it was senior software developer, right? You see that I worked in Poland, which companies I worked for, right? All my projects and everything, because that's what I do. I'm an engineer, so that's what I do. I don't play video games. It's killing me if I have to play video game for more than 15 minutes, and in the past year, I haven't had a single day off. Not that I work, every day 12 hours. Often I do, but I haven't had a day off this year yet, right? Last last vacation, just my wife and my son went to Florida, and I stayed behind with my trusted dog. We had fun. Anyways, my point is that that's how you spot fake engineers, right? Don't listen to what they say, just watch what they do. Especially if someone constantly reminds you that they're an engineer, something is fishy, because that sounds like overcompensating. It's kind of like Meghan Markle constantly talking about being authentic or organic and something like that, right? So it immediately becomes suspicious. Why do you keep talking about that so much, right? But in case of Muda, obviously he does that to sound more like he knows what he's talking about, right? But honestly, I don't see much value in his videos. I never have. I just didn't realize that. Now I realize that in light of all this. But what are you gonna do? Fake people will always be there, and just mind that internet is full of fake. Internet is full of fakeness. There's a lot of fake stuff over there, and it's for the most part it's entertainment, right? So don't be so rough on Muda. If you want to be harsh on Muda, it's not because he lied about being an engineer, but that he feels deeply insecure about it. And did he respond? No. He started just blacklisting certain words. Well, so word engineer in his comments, censorship in a way, and he started removing like old videos and stuff. No, that's not how you do it. This is gonna have the exact opposite effect. Just face the music, take your own advice, and just take an L from time to time and move on. No one's gonna hold it against you, because why would they? But if you start doing Streisand stuff, then yeah, you're gonna meet Streisand effect, right? And that's gonna be worse. Um, I'm pretty sure Internet Anarchist is preparing a video on him. And we'll see if the views are gonna go down or what's exactly gonna happen. And we'll see if YouTube is actually not his main job. But I think at this point, publishing a video a day that garners hundreds of thousands of views by now, unless you have like really bad spending habits, by now he should have enough money in the bank and enough money invested somewhere that he really doesn't have to work, doesn't need to work. But it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes people just have, no matter how much money they make, they just spend it all. And yeah, so we'll see what's gonna come up. I'm still waiting for Muda's response, and just, God damn it, he kept saying that he's such an, he's so attached to his audience and stuff, and now, you know, that he's transparent, and he always struck me as a person that is like super down to earth, relatable, transparent, right? He often talks about his limitations, and not being pretentious, or not pretending to be someone or to know something he doesn't know. But now all that is in question, right? Because that was my impression of him. Obviously, I don't know the guy, and I never looked into his background the way other people now are. So I'm kind of curious what's gonna happen. And in my opinion, this is easily fixed, but instead of fixing it, he's making it worse. It's kind of like pirate software. Next thing we know, he worked at Blizzard for 7 years. But hey, I'm an engineer and I don't care. Thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate you, and I shall see you in the next one.